Leo's insights are presented to challenge, inform, and encourage you in your quest to break free from school-based approaches to education. Building upon a foundation of unschooling, we sincerely hope these insights help you to consider how education can be truly unlimited.
The fact I became a public school teacher many years ago is somewhat of a miracle. I always liked learning, but I never really liked school, particularly not grade school. How did I end up working in a place like that? I never aspired to being a school teacher, that's for sure, but I needed a job. I believed at the time that it would only be for the short term, but this career decision now includes nearly 50 years of history. Even though my negative school experience challenged me, I decided that if I was going to be a part of that system, I would do my best to improve it. This turned out to be a major case of naivety, as I quickly learned the system is inflexible. There was no changing it. So the best that I could do was give my all in the classroom, or maybe, just maybe, I could make a difference. Once a teacher, I realized that very few of my colleagues were dedicated to training children, and those who were tended to stay away from the staff room where true colors went uninhibited. Still, with this inside knowledge, once our eldest reached school age, we simply did what was expected of us. We unquestioningly offered our child on the altar of public education, despite knowing this was not a good environment. We followed the crowd, which had no idea what it was doing, where it was going, or what the outcomes would be. How could we not comprehend the daily tears being shed by our baby as we abandoned her to perfect strangers? Why could we not see that nobody, not even caring teachers, could love and cherish our child like we did? When did we simply adopt the idea that a child could learn more or better in a foreign institution than in the home? It took me a few years of moving from town to town, school to realize I was not only searching for a better place to work, but also for a school to which I could comfortably send our children. After years of experiencing public, separate, private, urban, rural in 2 provinces and 2 languages, I finally came to the conclusion that there was no such thing as a school good enough for my children. I eventually came to understand this to be true of everybody's children, at least those being raised by loving and caring parents. My wife and I eventually came to see we would only get one chance to educate our children, considering we were the ones God used to give them birth, and we would have to live with the outcomes of how their education would be delivered. We determined the best candidate to do the job for ourselves. And so we became pioneer home educators in Alberta. This was no small commitment for a man who continued to work within the system and had to endure a lot of questioning and persecution for deciding to home educate his children. Well, that was a long time ago, and few things have changed. I mean, aside from the fact that I've aged, schools have actually become much worse over the years. Students are having to learn the basics by doing homework, as the school is too busy advancing the latest woke narrative. And the little girl I mentioned is now approaching the end of her home education journey with her 4 children and is very involved in helping with the leadership of this ministry. Simply agreeing with the status quo that the government can somehow educate children better than loving parents is an error. It's a mistake. In fact, it is a classic decision by which parents abdicate their responsibility to others who are less likely to care about the outcomes. When I hear what is going on in schools today, I cannot help but see a broken system. There are good teachers and good schools doing good things, I think, and it is not fair to label all teachers, schools, and programs as failing. But there are many examples of things being done that could mar a child for life. The question is, are you willing to risk having your children in a potentially bad environment? Don't kid yourself with the idea that bad things only happen in the schools not attended by your children. And don't think, like I did, that by being involved in the school, you will be able to make it a better place. Schools remain inflexible and have not improved while you educated the children at home. So don't send them back there again. Most of you may not know or understand what is going on in schools. Yet, you do know one thing, a very important thing. Your children are your children, and their welfare is your welfare. If God intended children to be schooled, he would have given schools the ability to procreate. Obviously, that didn't happen. God gave parents this ability, and with it comes the responsibility to prepare children for the future God has foreordained in keeping with the uniqueness of each child. Schools can never address this need better than loving parents who take their responsibility with commitment. There is no place like home and no one more dedicated than parents.
We trust you were blessed by today's presentation. For more helpful information to guide you in your home education journey, please visit educationunlimited.ca and leogaumont.com. Be sure to like us and share us on Facebook.